Hi, I'm Mike Sheridan, and you're very welcome to the Filum Show. I'm joined by Brian Lloyd and Dee Malumbi. How are you guys doing?
You totally changed up your intro.
You were waiting.
I was waiting for you to lean in and do your whole thing.
You know why? Because I'm doing the Delve now, my show. So like and subscribe, iTunes, YouTube, wherever you want it. And that's how I introduced the Delve. So I'm mixing it up, you know?
I love how we're not even 30 seconds into the show and already you're plugging your own crap.
Well, that's grand. You have to, because we're about to plug your crap, Brian. We're about to plug your crap. We're going to talk. The first movie we're going to review is The Incredibles 2. I know you both dug it, but you did an interview, Brian, with Brad Bird, the director of The Incredibles 2.
Yes, I did.
See the way I segue in and lean in for you there and help you out, whereas I get mocked.
Reciprocating. Yeah, no, I interviewed Brad Bird and the producers of the movie. The interview is live on YouTube now.
Why are you going all politician?
Because I just did it and I'm going to roll.
In fact,
in anyways. The interview is live. It was a really good interview. I'm really proud of it. And Brad Bird was a really interesting guy to talk to. Dee really wanted to talk to him.
Dee's looking at you like you.
Do you know what?
I love animation. It's so mean.
If you had said you wanted to do it,
I'm pretty sure.
No, you didn't.
Heavily
Yeah, you can't do this. If you had said, "Hey, I'd love to do that interview,"
was that your impression of Deirdre? Was that you?
Yeah. No.
He said, maybe I guess I kind of wanted to go, but I don't really say.
I don't know how that's me. Okay.
Sorry.
Do you just put that in there somewhere and then come at him again? You know, when he's least expecting it, when he's comfortable later on in the show, then go and get him. Okay, so your interview's live anyway, Brian?
Yes.
Should have been with Dee, but however.
Should have been, yeah.
Should have been. The great Brad Bird directed a Mission Impossible movie, you know, which is kind of not easy to forget, but because Macquarie's done too, Chris Macquarie's done too since. Mm-hmm. But very good director.
Yeah.
So, and The Iron Giant is still a classic. Yeah. It's one of the best animated movies ever. The
Iron Giant is one of those films that people constantly revisit. Mm-hmm. They constantly go back to and quote all the time. Like it's just a beautiful. Vin Diesel's best movie.
Ooh, yeah, maybe.
Could be,
maybe.
Saving Private Ryan.
He is great in that too.
Yeah. I mean, I think he gave I know this kind of sound really kind of stupid, but
stupid.
I thought he gave for the short amount of dialogue that he had in The Iron Giant, and the fact that he was not it was very soulful, is what I'm saying. It was very soulful. But yeah, I thought he was brilliant. Yeah. The Iron Giant is it's incredible.
Okay, let's talk about The Incredibles 2D. You went to the premiere of this, and
family premiere.
You brought your two little sisters. It's always a nice outing when Dee goes to a premiere.
I know.
When Brian goes to a premiere, he's sitting there on his own. Like when you do it, it's you put up such a cute picture on your Twitter with you and your. I was like, oh my god, your sisters, you all look so alike or whatever, and it's so cute.
Yeah. And they're taller than me, even though they're younger than me.
But you're having a day out and a shared family experience. Look around the point. He's
my
on his
dad
own.
came too. My dad took the picture.
Oh, he took the picture.
Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. So, what did your little sisters think of the movie?
Oh, they loved it. All three of us loved it. Although, I don't know, one of my sisters was kind of being a bit harsh on it. She was like, it wasn't as good as the first.
Is this a little sister that's, generally gives you feedback and she can be quite
incisive,
no,
that's Leisha. That's the youngest one. She's so funny because I'll bring her to movies I don't know, off the top of my head, Show Dogs. And I was like, it was nice and it was
dogs
sweet.
Were cute.
And she'd be like, it was crap.
How
and
old
she's 12. She's like, it was rubbish. And it's so funny because sometimes I'll bring her and her friends to it. If it's a really young one, like Show Dogs. And she'll kind of hold off on what she really thinks until her friends are gone. Because all her friends would be like, oh, it was so nice. And the dogs were everywhere and stuff like that. It's funny.
And she's just eye rolling
Yeah. She was saying the same about Peter Rabbit, actually. Of all the people I've spoken to, Leisha was Peter Rabbit's strongest critic.
Was she?
Really? Well, besides Brian, but Brian didn't actually see the movie.
I hadn't seen it, so. I won't.
You just had a rampant hatred of James Corden.
I just really don't like James Corden.
He's really James Corden-y in it.
Well, there you go.
To the point that the studio had to call him and ask him to change the piece.
That's true. That's for people who don't know.
Producer Dave, you weren't here at the time, right? It was in the old building, but Brian wrote such a vicious piece about the Peter Rabbit trailer that the studio called him and were like, Brian, it's a little bit harsh. Can you and Brian was like, yeah.
I was like, yeah. When I was like, look, I'll change it this time, but I really don't like him. And they were like, yeah, look, okay, please change it. And
that's not what you said. You were like, I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry.
I did.
I'm sorry, okay. I know. I'm sorry. All right. I know. I'm sorry.
I apologise for the harsh tone that I took with the trailer.
You don't have to apologise still. It was years ago. Like,
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying I apologise.
sorry.
Sorry, still sorry.
Are we done?
You just did an impression of Deirdre. You've done many impressions of me. Take it, Brian.
I am taking it.
Take it like a man, Brian.
I am taking it. But yeah, no, yeah, James Corden, I cannot abide him. I can't stand him.
Well, he's not in The Incredibles 2.
Good.
he's not.
He's not. So everybody
Though
else
he is
returns.
in Ocean's 8. Anyway, we won't get into that. But back to Incredibles 2. Really, really enjoyed it. There were so many. You know what Brad Bird just gets so right is animated action.
Yeah.
The action sequences in this are really just top notch. You just don't see any other filmmaking making this kind of standard of action sequences in animated movies. And I know you mentioned their Mission Impossible, so he does have that action background. I also thought it was funnier than the first film. I found myself laughing out loud loads. I was there, like I said, at a family premiere. Everyone was laughing. The adults, the kids, teenagers, everyone was just laughing along with this film. Probably not as good as the first. I was mentioning to Brian off air. It kind of annoyed me a little that the establishing scenes with like, you know, Bob and Helen, you know, the Mr. and Mrs. Incredible fighting and the kids being like, why can't we use our superpowers? Were a bit kind of repetitive of the first film. And I don't know if the finale was quite as epic as that whole showdown with Syndrome in the first movie, which is just so awesome. But it was still, I really, really enjoyed it. I'd definitely go see it again. I think I will.
What about
This
you, Bro?
weekend.
Yeah, no, I thought that, like the one problem that I had with it was I felt that the villain in the first one was incredible. Jason Lee, who voiced his character Syndrome. I thought it was
Jason
Yeah.
Lee, yeah.
Jason
Lee,
Do
and
you
he did a
remember
br-
Jason Lee?
Yeah, and like he was brilliant in the first Incredibles.
Great in a lot
Yeah,
of movies.
he's
And My
such-
Name is Earl.
Yeah, and My Name is Earl. Yeah, he's
Again, as well, you have that villain that, and we saw it with Black Panther,
Yeah.
in fact, where you kind of like agree with them because he's
Yeah.
like, you know, why shouldn't everybody have access to gadgets and be able to be supers, you know?
yeah.
So
Whereas this time around, I felt the two people. It's not that it was lacking a villain.
Who,
as such.
who are the villains at then?
You see, this is it. It's a character called the Screenslaver, and it's never revealed who it is until the end, and then it turns out to be a bit of a sort of whatever. But
it's to do with this kind of hypnosis through
kind of
screens
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of all you can say, really.
Yeah, really, without kind of going too far into it. But I felt Bob Odenkirk and Catherine Keener, who are the two new kind of cast members of it, I felt like they were kind of, not that they were an odd choice, but they were a bad choice. Like, as in, like, Holly Hunter and Craig T. Nelson, you wouldn't think of them as voice actors at all. But they really kind of have a really expressive voices. They really, too, kind of are able to kind of get their emotions out in every scene. But with Catherine Keener and Bob Odenkirk, I felt it was the sort of thing where if I was watching them live, as in without the kind of benefit of animation, you'd be like, oh yeah, well, they're doing subtle things that kind of gets the emotion across. But the fact that it's an animated character doing the acting for them kind of negates half the performance, if you know what I'm saying. So it kind of felt kind of flat.
Yeah.
But that's like I'm splitting hairs here, like as in like that's the one kind of complaint I would have against it.
Okay, what about the good stuff?
Brilliant action. Brad Bird absolutely 100% has action sequences down pat. And what's even funny as well, I think, is the fact that the way he directs it is exactly like how an actual real life movie would direct an action scene. Do you know that kind of way? Like there's a bit in it where Elastigirl is chasing after the Screenslaver and the camera actually follows her like someone is actually running after
Kind of
her.
a Paul Greengrass hand.
Kind of, yeah. And it's really smart. Like, and like,
It's,
you know,
it's an urge. It's a way of injecting urgency into an action sequence.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's it. And that's so smartly done. You wouldn't normally see that in an animated film. The soundtrack is brilliant. It looks gorgeous. The story itself is brilliant. The fact that they kind of flipped the whole idea of like, you know, being a parent and raising children is just as heroic as, you know, actually literally being a superhero.
Yeah, there you go.
So like
the
there's-
family sequences were very funny and very kind of touching as well.
Yeah.
You know, you really believe in those characters in that relationship. And actually, speaking of when I was going to the screening, there were particular like scenes where I was like, "That's you," because like you know when the dad is struggling to teach
With the
maths,
maths, yeah.
I was like poking at my dad, like, "That's you, that's you." And when like Violet was having her little tantrum, I was poking my teenage sister, being like, like, that's you. Because it is that, like, relatable
Don't
and
bully
real.
your sisters,
wasn't.
do you? You
I
take them to a nice nice afternoon now. I just said it
Here,
at the
they
top.
couldn't complain. I was bringing them to a free movie.
Yeah, you
so.
just take this abuse. You just take this stick. That's fair
Exactly.
enough.
Yeah.
Bill's character, sure, right? Okay, so this is one of the biggest animated movies of all time, right? Like, I mean, in terms of opening.
I think it is now the highest grossing animated film stateside. Anyway.
Yeah,
I think so
definitely,
now.
yeah.
So that's kind of, obviously, audiences have responded to it in like
Yeah.
a hugely positive way. Do you think Irish audiences will?
I think so, yeah, definitely, yeah. I think the fact that, the first one had such an impact for everybody, the fact that it was so well received critically and commercially, I think that's only going to improve with the second one, so definitely, yeah.
Could we see a third one, do you think, Dee?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, but like, I mean, if they leave it for another 14 years, that's kind of a
Well,
bit
I mean,
ridiculous.
but they kind of, with the Toy Story movies, and there's a Toy Story 4 coming, isn't there?
Yeah.
And actually, they swapped the dates. Initially, Toy Story 4 was meant to come out now, and Incredibles 2 later, and they swapped the dates. I think it's because Toy Story has proven to be like so grossing that they really want to take their time with it, which honestly made me quite nervous for Incredibles 2, but I was really happily surprised.
Yeah.
They obviously just kind of up the production, I suppose, or the post-production schedule. I'm sure that stuff
Exactly,
is tricky. Even though
yeah.
I mean, it's advanced so much in the last few years.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Like, I think the first Toy Story took a couple of years to put together.
Something
didn't it?
like that, yeah.
When you watch the 3 in a row, like I have watched the 3 in a row before, and the standard of animation, how it develops is amazing. And I mean, even watching Incredibles 2, I couldn't help but compare it to the standard of animation in the first Incredibles, which is still amazing, but it's like it's making leaps and bounds animation.
It's up a different level now.
at the moment, yeah.
Okay, so that's definitely one for the families at the weekend.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of a
For
quiet week.
everyone go see it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're going to see people like our age
Yeah.
going to see this. Like,
Especially
on the evening
because
screens.
like 14 years ago, that would have been like a
Yeah.
film we saw as kids. So, yeah.
Okay, Brian, you another little plug for yourself, Brian. Another little
A self plug, as I
another
call
little
it.
self plug. Okay, so you had another interview with Maya
Yes.
Gott.
Mia Goth and George McKay, who apparently was dating Saoirse Ronan at one point.
Yeah.
Don't know if they're still dating now. I didn't ask.
All right,
No,
TMZ.
I don't-
All right,
I don't-
TMZ.
saying.
No, I think they broke up a while
Did
ago.
you
Yeah,
did you
yeah.
tell him you didn't care about his personal life? Did you tell him that?
I didn't ask
Look,
about his personal
I
life.
don't care about your personal life. Yeah, but
I
point
didn't-
that out at the top like you did with Emily Blunt.
Well, like, I mean, that was like in context. If it makes sense in
You
context.
insulted Emily Blunt in context.
In context. And like, it's not an insult to say, I don't care about your personal life.
Yes, it is.
How is that an insult?
It was the way you said it.
It was like
You know?
the way, like what I meant
I'm
it was
such a-
that look, I'm not here to talk about your personal life. I'm here to be professional, okay, and talk about your professional work. That's it. It's about the work. It's not about the personal life.
You told Emily Blunt, Brian. You told her.
I just
Yeah, it's
said,
about the work, all right?
I'm just saying, like,
work
this
and
is
And then you
process.
told her husband to F off. Real classy. Anyway.
What's this junker for? Or what was this interview for?
this was for the movie Marrowbone, or The Secret of Marrowbone. We've interviews with Mia Goth and George McKay and the director Sergio Sanchez.
Sergio.
Sergio.
That's a cool name, isn't it?
Isn't it Sergio Sanchez? Yeah.
Sounds like you should be playing up front for Chile. You get that. You like the football producer, Dave. He gets that.
He gets
lost
the
on Brian.
sports. I got nothing. But yeah, no, the two of them were interesting. Sergio Sanchez had a lot to say about the process and all that kind of thing. So they're up on YouTube as well. The film is not great though. It's kind of a bit boring, to be honest. I can say this now. There's a twist in it that doesn't make any sense at all. It's
Sergio.
yeah, and like it was like I was watching. It was like
I had
okay,
so much belief in Sergio Sanchez just from his name.
Yeah.
just from the
his
name
name,
alone,
yeah.
like just
I was
from
like,
the
that's
name.
a competent name.
Yeah, that's it. He's like up front with the football.
You know where you stand with Sergio.
Know what I'm saying? Yeah, just Sergio, just yeah.
Ball over the top, whatever, to the feet, Sergio. You know, puts it in the back of the net.
Sure. But yeah, so those interviews are live now and you can read the review as well. So yeah, there you go. I got nothing on the football. I can't help you.
I don't think we can have Brian ever do anything for the Sports Chronicle. What do you think? Maybe? Someday, yeah. I don't know, maybe for the cricket or something like that.
What?
Okay, let's talk Skyscraper, Deirdre.
Skyscraper. It's a big week, actually.
It is a
with
big
those
week,
two,
yeah. I love The Rock. I think he's awesome. And he's Dwayne Johnson in this one. So this looks so diehard. It's from the director of Dodgeball. And he wrote it as well. Marshall Tuber.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll go with that.
I can try and remember
Rowan
his name.
Marshall
Ralston?
Logan
Ralston.
or something.
Yeah, but he's
Yeah.
he's signed a big deal with The Rock now, actually, for his next movie, and it's one of the biggest deals that's ever been done in Hollywood in terms of the money The Rock is going to get. That type of money just doesn't go around anymore.
Yeah.
So, which
Well, they worked together on Central Intelligence.
yeah,
So yeah,
that was a fun movie with Kevin Hart.
I didn't see it.
Did you not see it?
No,
Shock.
but I assume they did well because I mean they worked on Jumanji off the back of that, and that
Yeah.
made silly money. So
Well, he
obviously
didn't
people have
make
seen them.
Jumanji, did he?
No, that was
Jake
Jake
Kasdan.
Kasdan.
Yeah, but that kind of led me to believe when that type of money was been thrown around, I was like,
Oh, sorry, I meant Kevin Hart.
Oh, Kevin
before.
Hart, sorry,
That's
yeah.
what I meant. Sorry.
When that type of money was been thrown around for The Rock for this deal for this director and start reteaming, I was like, Skyscraper must be good. There must be some buzz. It looks like it's very Die Hard, but it's aware of the fact that it's Die Hard.
It's too Die Hard. It was like frustratingly Die Hard. It was like
Can you ever be frustratingly Die Hard?
there's homage and then there's just plain copying. I mean, this is coming from like my nerdy film background, but what made Die Hard?
Are you going to mention the fact that you have a master's? Go
I have
for
a
it.
master's. No, but what I was going to say was I read this really interesting book on the action genre because I'm weird. I watch films and I read about them. Whatever,
Let's
it.
mock D for like doing research and reading.
Look for her. She's being articulate.
You go to the libraries, you loser.
Nerd.
Which was written by an Irishman, actually, Dr. Harvey O'Brien. But he was
Shout out to
talking
Dr.
about
Harvey.
yeah.
Dr. Harv.
But he was writing about how Die Hard was so kind of revolutionary to the action genre because what you had essentially in the 70s and 80s were like these really like buff built action heroes which were essentially tanks and completely indestructible, and what you had with Die Hard and Bruce Willis was kind of like not kind of as toned. Obviously he's muscular and everything, but he's not like a tank.
More of an everyman, yeah.
Exactly. And more to the point, as the movie progresses, like, he doesn't have any shoes and he's getting the absolute crap beaten out of him. Like the whole idea with the previous 70s and 80s movies were that these guys were indestructible. You could shoot a bazooka at them and they'd just be standing there posing with their big pecs and everything. But he was properly getting like cut up. You see him like bandaging himself up and everything. And I thought that what Skyscraper did, which was like, I suppose a nice homage if you think about it, but I thought that it was like completely basically mimicking that idea in that you have Dwayne Johnson and he's kind of like an insecure man. He's missing, a limb, and he's talking about how he's not feeling very, confident in like his new job and stuff. Whereas initially at the start of the film, he's like this kind of,
Alpha
CIA?
type.
Yeah, exactly. So and again throughout Skyscraper, he's getting the crap beaten out of him, and he's constantly taping himself up with duct tape. It's kind of like this running gag in the movie, I suppose. But what it lacked that Die Hard had as well was just a kind of sense of like fun and playfulness, and then also just it was missing. I know this is kind of simplistic, but like just that quotability, just that repeat kind of viewing quality.
Are you
and
telling me
everything.
that Skyscraper is an earnest film? It does not strike me as something that would be like, is this taking itself seriously?
I feel like it kind of is.
Oh, dear.
I don't know. I mean, like there are like some ridiculous moments, like when he's like, running across, like you've seen the clip where he's running across and he's literally jumping into a building that is on fire. But I don't know. It was just, you know what? It's fine. It's kind of exactly what you'd expect. It neither exceeded nor kind of under met, I suppose, my expectations.
Solid 3 stars.
Yeah, but I wanted it to have more of a sense of fun to it. Like, I like seeing Dwayne Johnson be more playful. Like, I'll be honest, at the time of seeing Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, I was quite harsh on it. But looking back, there are a lot of, like, humorous moments in it. And I prefer seeing Dwayne Johnson in that kind of role where he's having a bit, like, of fun with it. I think that, it is hard, though, mind you, to get that balance with action movies. I think there are a lot that take themselves, like, super seriously, but only certain movies have worked in the past. That's just John Wick. But yeah, I wanted it to have a bit more, because it was so ridiculous and cliched and over the top and everything. I would have liked if it had a bit of fun with that, but it did feel like it was taking itself really seriously.
So the hook here seems to be, it's The Rock, but he's only got one leg.
Yeah, it's the Rock.
And the building's 3 times the size of the Empire State Building.
Exactly.
That's the hook, yeah.
And he's playing basically a John McClane type character, and he has to save his family, and it's too Die Hard.
Brian, can something be too Die Hard?
Yeah, to be fair, like, I mean, I know there was that whole thing with, like, in the 90s, it was like, oh, it's Die Hard on a boat, or it's Die Hard on a bus, or it's Die Hard on...
Speed 2.
Speed 2 and Under Siege and all those kind of things. Yeah, I mean...
See, I know people describe those films as Die Hard, but I never would call Die Hard, Speed Die Hard on a bus. I would consider it its own thing.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
Yeah.
It's an action film contained in a singular space.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it.
That's a broad term.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the formula. The formula is it's, contained in one area, plucky guy, wrong place, wrong time, trying to figure his way out of it. This, as Dee says, this is just Die Hard, pretty much, except The Rock, as in...
And inferior.
And inferior, in that, like, it's set in a skyscraper. Probably terrorists are trying to take over. Is that it?
Yeah.
See, come on, like that's.
There's even like a scene in it
Well, who
that's
else is
set in a
gonna-
boiler room, which is like, oh come on.
Who else
now.
is going to try and take over? Of course it's terrorists.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, you could have had something like, I don't know, like there's
Just some lads drinking cans outside are like, here, lads.
No, but
try
like,
take
as
over the
in-
skyscracer.
Okay, fine, but like it's sort of thing where like Tower and Inferno, that kind of where the thing is on fire and you've got to get people out and it's a race against time before something happens. Like, and that's just me spitballing right now. Like,
And in fairness, one of the things, because I've seen Towering Inferno and I think it's a great movie. In Towering Inferno, the stakes are real in that there are people who don't get out. There are people, like characters that you get to know that just die.
Yeah.
And it's really like, and you don't know who's going to make it. With Skyscraper, I felt like there were no stakes because they're not going to kill off
Well,
Dwayne
Tower
Johnson.
Inferno had
and
that
you
thing as
know
well.
his family are going to be fine.
Well, Tower Inferno had the thing as well with all the superstars that were
Sure.
in at the time. So like Newman and Steve McQueen, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah. So at the
Well,
time
you
that
know
was a
about
huge
certain
deal.
ones.
Yeah, that was a
Like,
huge deal. That was like DiCaprio and Brad Pitt doing the Tarantino movie together now at the moment. Like that's at that stage. That's what that would have been on that huge scale. So look, I think it looks like a bit of a laugh. I still haven't seen Sicario 2, so I want to get to that.
Yeah.
I went to Old School 2 again last weekend and loved it.
Yeah.
I really hope people do go and embrace it and go and see it. We've like kind of, well, I have prated on about it enough, but it is an excellent film. And there's a film from the director of Winter's Bone, Leave No Trace.
Oh, I really want to
really
see
see
that.
that.
Gav gave that 5 stars on site.
Winter's Bone
Wrote a
is
really good
an
review.
incredibly underrated film. It's Jennifer Lawrence's. It was her first
Breakout.
but it was really her. She was nominated for an Oscar for it. And it was her breakout. So, and Ben Foster, I think, is an excellent actor too. So,
Yeah, I love him.
I'm dying to see that. I'm really looking forward to that. So, hopefully, it's not gone out as soon as by the time I get a chance to go and see it. So, Skyscraper, if you're in the
Grand.
mood,
Yeah,
Yeah, it
big
kind
screen,
of
lots
it
of
does
popcorn.
what it says on the tin, like.
It's Skyscrapes.
Yeah.
When Dwayne Johnson skyscrapes with one leg.
why not?
He's back.
Like,
Skyscraper
why not?
2. This time he's back. This time.
It's
You would
fun-
imagine, but like, will there be a sequel? Actually, do you think?
Depends how much money it makes. doesn't it?
Yeah, it probably is totally dependent on
Because
that.
Rampage didn't do that well.
No.
It did grand, but
did
it didn't
fine.
do for, given he's coming off the back of Jumanji with like over $1 billion global gross, which was huge and unexpected.
Yeah.
Rampage was like, it did okay. Joint Ape and The Rock from the director.
And that's
San
what I'm
Antonio.
saying. Yeah, it would like when you're watching Rampage, it was just like, It's
I
exactly
had a
what I
similar
expected it to
feeling
be.
with Rampage in that I felt like Rampage could have had a bit more kind of fun to it, I mean, because it's ridiculous. And this film is ridiculous in its concept. So just embrace that ridiculousness.
Rather
That's what
than
they're going to
trying
do. Sorry, Brian. That's what they're going to do with the Fast and Furious spin-off with Jason Statham.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
Speaking of Jason Statham, have you seen the trailer for Meg?
Yeah.
Looks fantastic.
Do you think?
The giant shark and Jason Statham wants to make it bleed. He says that in the trailer. He says, I want to make this thing bleed. I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
Jason
I do
Statham.
wanna see that.
Fight that giant shark. Fight it. He better punch that shark in the face.
I think that's due out like late August. So it'll
Yeah.
kind of be the final one of blockbuster season,
Yeah.
is my understanding.
Jaws, though. Come on, come on.
Jason Statham had batter jaws in the fight.
No, yeah, okay. Whatever.
Anyway, speaking of like The Rock's, career, and he's at this level now where everything has to be insanely
be
popular,
huge, yeah.
popular. But I think the Fast and Furious spin-off with David Leitch directing it is, and Idris Elba's just been announced as the villain. It's just shaping up beautifully. I can't wait for
Vanessa Kirby's been added as
She's in
Jason
Mission Impossible,
Statham's
yeah.
character's sister. That'll be interesting.
And Helen Mirren is their mother.
that. All right, calm down, Thirsty Brian. Calm down. Look, don't look at the camera like that. Don't look at the camera like that.
So weird.
Look at the camera like you're trying to get her pregnant. You're sick. You're sick, you thirsty granny grabber. Okay, for movie news this week, we're kind of pillaging something from the site.
Yeah. I just wanted to, because last week when it was just myself and Brian, we were talking about our favorite movies and least favorite movies of 2018 so far. So I thought that continuing on with that theme, that we'd look at some of the movies that are still to come in 2018. So I've just picked about like 10 here. Oh, and you can see the full piece on site, which is 14 movies we're looking forward to for the rest of 2018. The 10 I have picked, I've probably picked too many, but I'm looking forward to a lot of movies. But the 10 I've picked are Halloween.
Yep.
It's going to be amazing. The Predator-ish. First Man, going to be awesome. Suspiria, which I kind of want to see and I'm too scared to see at the same time. The Girl in the Spider's Web. Mary Queen of Scots. Looks so
You're
good.
mad for that.
I love costume and period dramas. And Margot Robbie and Saoirse Ronan, they're going to be great. The Happy Time Murders just looks so funny. I cannot wait. Aquaman, which is shaping up really, really nicely.
With our pal
Yes.
Patrick Wilson.
But our pal Patrick Wilson.
Sorry, do continue.
Bumblebee, because of when we were talking about like the Coraline director and everything, and it does look like it looks like the Iron Giant, not a copy of it, an homage to it. And Mary Poppins returns with Emily Blunt.
That's a solid list. I
Yes.
find out that's a difficult list to argue with. I
Yeah,
find.
you couldn't really argue with much of that. Yeah, First Man. My God, like it looks so good.
Yeah,
it looks
that's
so
going to
good.
be a total Oscar darling and deservedly so.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Bumblebee, though, like I mean, we were saying this when we were
Travis
talking.
Knight, yeah.
Travis Knight. It looks good. A Transformer
Yeah.
movies that looks good.
it's
What-
mad.
Who knew? Like, Predator. I don't know what your problem is with Predator.
I
okay?
really-
that film's going to be.
I've been seeing the trailers.
Come on!
I mean, if this was a movie, like that ends up being what it is, right? But without Shane Black attached,
Sure.
and that was all we had to go on those trailers. I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
I think it looks.
But Shane
great.
Black, so I'm like, yeah, and Fred Dekker, so I'm in. Don't get me wrong.
I know, but I think
Yeah,
the
it might
trailers
just
look
be.
great.
It just might be the trailers. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, you really like. I don't know. I don't even like the CGI look of the guy from the trailers. I don't know.
Brian's
Maybe
like-
it's
Brian's
maybe
like,
it's not
"Look,
finished yet.
There's a big predator, and it grabs the small predator,
And he pulls him
that's
through-
the big, and he pulls him through and what, like,
Right, genetically engineered predator. That's just you say it. I was like, I'm there. Just take my money. Just take my money.
Predator
You can
was
have
one of
it.
those movies that, when I was growing up, and I'm a little bit older than, well, certainly D, you're old as well, Brian.
Yeah.
But when we were in school, it was like somebody would have seen it that night, or would have
And
been
yeah,
allowed to
talked
see it on
about
Sky Movies and come in and like just talk about bits from it so excitedly.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
RoboCop was my one.
yeah.
Yeah, the bit with when the guy gets hit with the car.
That's actually a scene in old school. They talk about that.
Right?
This is deadly bit, and I'm like, yeah.
But that's RoboCop was my one. Yeah, RoboCop and Predator were the two ones that I just like kind of constantly quote in the schoolyard when you're like way too young to even know what you're even saying. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of way.
Jeez, I remember seeing like RoboCop for the first time when I was in college. I don't know, it had just passed me by over the years, and being like, oh, it's made in the 80s. Like it won't even be violent. And then I looked at it, it's like super violent.
Paul
I saw-
Verhoeven,
Yeah.
But like really, really enjoyable. Like it's so good.
I saw that when I was like about 10 or 11. Like I was way too young to have seen Robo.
Your
Like,
formative years, Brian.
that's what I'm saying. But like it was one of those ones that was like, if I had a kid now, there's no way I'd let them watch RoboCop. Like I just wouldn't. Like if they were like 10 or 11, I
But
just
like
wouldn't
in
let them.
another like 10 years, like it might be at the point where the special effects unfortunately have aged.
I know, but
You
look,
know?
they've aged now. Like I mean, I think they were pretty fake looking back then.
But even like when I was, like I said, when I was watching it, however many years ago, I won't reveal. But yeah, I really thought the effects have kind of stood the test of time.
Yeah,
It depends on, I think that the 80 movies that have that have leaned towards practical effects rather
Sure.
than
Yeah,
I
kind
was
of
gonna say
computer
that, yeah.
generated
Yeah.
ones, tend to
But it's not,
age
when
better.
anything's not too CGI heavy, it kind of seems to
looks
age
silly,
better.
yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
you're talking about the soundtrack or whatever. If you had to pick two from that list, Brian, that you were most excited about, what would they be?
I would go for First Man, and I would go for The Predator.
I'm mostly excited about Halloween, I think, Dick.
Halloween, I'm dying for that. Yeah.
Just everything about it's like just
Yeah.
like it's. I know it's Danny McBride co-wrote it and David Gordon Green directing. Jamie Lee Curtis is back, and they're ignoring all of the other movies.
Brilliant.
And just and something about having John Carpenter properly involved.
Yeah.
And like even if it is just, I know he's a story consultant and stuff, and he's doing like probably elements of producing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But having him doing the theme music, it's like
So good. Oh my God, that trailer was amazing. And they've brought back the original Michael Myers
Yeah,
as
Nick
well,
Castle,
right?
yeah.
Which is very cool.
is he back? Is he?
He's back.
Is he not old as shit now?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, but he has a mask, so it's
He has a
fine.
mask. But you can actually see it. You can actually even see it in
Yeah,
it.
but Jamie Lee Curtis is a bit slower too.
Oh
so
yeah, just
hobbling
that
along.
makes sense, I guess, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. But the bit with the door, like I remember I showed it to Fiona Flynn actually, right?
Oh my gosh, we both
And like
jumped.
and she had the headphones on. You could see her just like, oh my god. And then like with the bit with the door when she's trying to close the door, and then he's just like like the scream that came out of that woman's voice, like it was just. So
I think that trailer and the one for The Nun as well had dropped kind of within a few days of each other, and me and Fiona both screamed at that. Actually, when she screamed at the Nun trailer, that made me scream again.
What do we think in terms of then of the Oscar race of where the movies are going to end up? Because there's always some surprises as well. Like that October release, kind of last week in October release seems to be where I think specifically Universal Pictures did it with Steve Jobs a couple of years ago, which was unfairly, I think, which is an excellent film. And Michael Fassbender's superb, and Aaron Sorkin's script. Danny Boyle did a great job directing it. But that's where First Man. The Last Man?
Yeah,
First Man, sorry, beg your pardon. That one has been placed. So we think this one is the front runner?
I would say so, yeah, definitely. Out of all the ones that are in it there, I would definitely think First Man is going to have a big impact. Because, I mean, like, you know, it's Ryan Gosling, it's about the space race. It's Damien Chazelle, you know, La La Land, Whiplash. Like, it has the pedigree for it to really do something. I'd say, though, my thinking is I think Claire Foy is more likely to get Best Actress for that.
She's going to have a whopper year because she's got, you mentioned the girl in the
Spider's
Web.
Spider's Web.
She's the lead in that too.
Yeah.
So she's going to have a lot going on in the next 12 months. You reckon an Oscar nomination could be in the works?
I'd
She's
say
good
for
enough
her.
actor.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
Sure.
Like, I mean, you look at The Crown, like, the stuff she did in that was incredible. Yeah, I'd say she'll probably get a Best Actress nod for that. I think that'll put her out in front for that, because like Ryan Gosling already got it for La La Land, you know. So
And it's because Tully's not going to get a shout in D, is it?
it's a shame though.
Yeah,
I know.
Did you see it?
Really...
Still haven't seen it yet, but like, I mean, from everything you've said, I am going to see
Every
it.
week I remind him
You're
to
part
see
of the
it.
problem now because you didn't go and see it, you didn't pay to see it, you didn't add to the box office.
I didn't. Yeah, no,
ultimately
I
hurt the film.
fully admit I am at fault here. I am the reason Tully was not the commercial success. It's all on
you,
me.
like.
It's all on me. All on me.
It's because you're an influencer.
You are an influencer.
Listen, okay.
People listen
You got
to
paid
what
to
you
influence.
say.
You get paid to influence.
Listen,
to peddle your influence.
If anyone's going to be paid, we're going to talk about paid influencers. You're the paid influencer
When
around
was the last time I put?
that thing you did for SPG where you were doing like, yeah, I'm Mike Sheridan, I'm in SPG talking about the gym.
That was it. Do you know what that was? That was it.
What was that?
That's a place.
That was influencing
that
right
wasn't
there.
influence. That was me interviewing one of the top MMA coaches in the world, who's also my coach. And because he asked me to, and he's a friend of mine, and he also did my show this week, The Delve. Like and subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. Thanks for the segue, Brian. I did enjoy. Brian said something earlier on where he said like a plucky character. I have not heard somebody described as plucky. Plucky? And since the mid-90s, maybe? It's just like a plucky character. It's like, plucky? Well, like, where?
Well, like, you know, it's in like, hey, got a bit of get up
No, I
and
know
go.
what plucky means.
All right.
I'm just like, it was a strange choice of words.
What are you laughing for? What? I didn't know if he meant that.
Hey, you know.
Hey. Yeah, I don't know. Plucky, yeah. What about it? Like, yeah, okay, grand. Like, yeah, I use old references sometimes. I'm sorry that I'm old, okay? Feeling very attacked
Can't wait to
this
see
week.
Plucky turn up in a movie review of his now.
Yeah, it's like the puppet. It's like the puppet Chucky. Plucky.
Plucky, yeah. Do you see though that they're like doing the remake of Child's Play?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? It's gonna be the same guy doing the voice.
Brad Dourif.
Andy, you little shit. Chucky was hilarious.
Oh, it was gas.
Yeah.
I mean, not
They
great
released
films.
one like just last year. Like, it's,
did they?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
straight
a
to
straight to
DVD.
DVD one.
Oh, you
Yeah.
like the old DVDs, Dee. Did you get it?
I did not.
Oh, Dee didn't even get it on DVD.
Well,
She's not for
there.
the DVDs. Okay, let's talk with the revisit because when did you decide to do this one? Sorry, missed the show last week. When did you decide to do this one?
The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Well,
Like 5 minutes ago?
Well,
or?
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I
yeah.
think
No,
there needs
you
to
know
be a
what
thing.
it was? It was we were thinking about anniversaries.
Yes.
And it's the 10th anniversary of Mamma Mia. It's the 15th anniversary of Pirates of the Caribbean. And it's also the 10th anniversary of The Dark Knight. So
And what I had
Mamma
to
Mia
we
is
just
10 years
decided
old.
on The
Yeah.
Dark Knight. Yeah. I know, it's mad, right?
Lord.
and
yeah, 2008.
it was at the time, the year that was released in 2008, The Dark Knight was leading the pack as the highest grossing film of the year. And then Mamma Mia swooped in and took the crown from The Dark Knight.
So what Brian is saying is he's making up for that 10 years later.
I'm 10 years
by
on.
choosing this film.
Not Mamma Mia. I'm choosing The Dark Knight because I can talk more readily about The Dark Knight than I can Mamma. Although, to be fair, you were saying this though. You watched Mamma Mia recently because Dee's going to be writing an article about it.
Yeah.
And
I also have one on pirates. Yeah.
And pirates. And like I'll be honest and say I have not seen Mamma Mia. I've never watched it. I love ABBA.
You would not care for it.
But like I love, but see, this is it. Like I love ABBA. I really have a genuine love for ABBA.
You would.
That's what I'm saying. So like I feel like I should have watched it by now, kind of thing. But at the same
do you
time,
really want to see those actors sing ABBA songs?
That's it. Like Pierce
That's
Brosnan.
a big
You
part
want
of
to see?
it.
You want to see Meryl Streep be all sprightly?
She's very sprightly.
in her overalls.
Yeah, that's kind of a bit like
She's like
you could
bouncing
say
around
you
the place.
could describe her as plucky.
Plucky Meryl Streep.
or spry. Apparently, spry is the word to use. Yeah,
Spry.
spry. Yeah, for an older person.
Oh, let's not go there.
I'm
with
not.
Brian.
I'm not being
Let's not go
ageist.
there
I'm
with
just saying
Brian.
that's
I'm
the sort
not saying you've been ageist.
Ageism.
You're literally the opposite of ageist. You've got this weird thing for older women. Like we've kind of half referenced it a few times, but like you've got this real like
It's a genuine thing.
it's a genuine thing like that you have that everybody knows about.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's talk about The Dark Knight then. Yeah, let's just drop that altogether. Let's drop any reference to that.
How long before you get a Michelle Pfeiffer reference in though?
Ooh.
See, Catwoman. Oh, she's
But
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, and like I'm doing the junket next week for Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I was really hoping that Michelle Pfeiffer was going to be in the list, and she's not.
So that's two members of the cast that would need pepper spray to
like,
Paul Rudd as well.
Oh no, Paul Rudd, it's fine. Now Paul Rudd, I'm going to be professional, and I'm going to get through that interview
For
fine.
once.
Just it's not going to be any issues with it. It's going to be fine.
So you're not going to walk in with like a boombox playing that song you guys were like geeking out
Was it
over?
Aretha Franklin?
No, it wasn't Aretha Franklin. It was Teddy Pendergrass. Close the door. There you are. Anyways,
The Dark Knight.
Jesus, can I get through this? Dark Knight, yeah. 10 years on, I really do think, right, watching back The Dark Knight, I think it's one of those films that it's very much of its time because it was really
You say
You say this
Every
week.
time.
Every week.
every time. That's why we revisit.
You need to think about the revisit a bit more. Maybe
Okay.
watch the film, revisit
I
it.
have watched the
like
film.
we're telling our listeners and viewers to do.
Sure. But like I think when you watch The Dark Knight, if you understand it in the prism of it was very much a post 9/11 film. It was very much the idea of, you know, terrorism and the response to terrorism and like where does the line end? You know, that kind of way. Like where does
Batman, that's where. Am I
No,
right?
but I mean at the whole thing where they like he has
He'll stop the terrorists.
No, but like the whole thing with like when he has the screens and it turns every phone in the city into a microphone that can listen in and pinpoint where the Joker is. Like that's pure NSA, all that stuff that Edward Snowden, surveillance and Edward Snowden was going on about. Now, what I find interesting is the fact that Batman, or well, Bruce Wayne rather, is I guess you would say the sort of the moral use of absolute power in the sense of like, yes, I am going to spy on every single person in the city, but as soon as I'm done, I'm going to destroy the system.
And there were elements of that in the Avengers movies as well, and in Civil War and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there was, you know,
it's
great
always,
power comes great responsibility.
Exactly,
that
that's
cliche.
it. I mean, that's been a thing in comic books, superheroes from day one, but never has it been done so on the nose the way that The Dark Knight did it. And, you know, there's been kind of like back and forth because like some people would argue that like, you know, Batman and superheroes are supposed to be, you know, completely divorced from reality. I mean, they're meant to have capes and they're meant to be flying around the place. They're not meant to deal with real societal issues. And then other people that say, no, absolutely not. They are supposed to be reflections of our society. They are supposed to kind of, you know, show the worst and best of what humanity can be. And The Dark Knight was always, I found, was really fascinating was because it got the moral grey area. It really kind of said, look, I'm doing something that I know is wrong. I'm going to act outside jurisdiction. Like the bit when he grabs the Asian banker guy from Hong Kong, that brilliant sequence when he blows out the thing and he's got the skyhook thing and all that. Like he did that because...
He's in Skyscraper, by the way.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Coming around.
Coming right around. But yeah, like that whole sequence, like he did that without due process. He did that by violating a load of extradition treaties.
People do that on Twitter now all the time, anyways.
Well,
just people are just like,
predicted
get them, get them.
okay, fine, yeah, but like in a real sense of the word, there was no process, there was no legal process. He just went and grabbed the guy and brought him back to Gotham to stand trial. And you know, again, that's the idea of like, yes,
Batman
it is,
doesn't do red tape.
exactly, that's it. Batman doesn't follow due process. Batman just does what's right. But is he actually right though? Because he's kind of like violating.
He's taking the law into his own hands, but he's a vigilante, right?
Yeah, of course. And
He's
that's,
doing that anyway.
He's good doing that anyway. But like, I suppose it's the thing of like, does Batman have respect for the law, or does just Batman have respect for what's right and what's wrong? And I mean, and that's something that loads of films have gone into. The idea of like, is something legally right or is something morally right? Like they do it in True Grit. Like the whole thing where they have the argument, like, as in she wants to kill the person who shot her father. But then the whole thing is like, well, maybe the person who shot the father should stand trial. So which is actually right? Should he stand trial or should he die for his crimes? Like,
You forget as well, I mean, I do, that even thinking about it there, I think about The Dark Knight as a singular film with The Dark Knight Rises being a sequel. I don't think about Batman Begins being the first one of that trilogy. Am I alone on that?
yeah.
I feel that the third really makes an attempt to kind of bring 1, 2, and 3 together in that twist.
Yeah.
The twist I'm talking about. Relating to Ra's al Ghul from the first one. And I mean, I do love Liam Neeson's performance in that first film. Sorry, I'm after getting something in my eye. That's why I'm like...
Are you just getting totally emotional?
Yeah, I'm so emotional.
Oh my God.
But oh god, there's just going to be a mascara streak eventually. Anyway, but I was just going to add to what you were saying there, Brian. That I love that in The Dark Knight, while it does deal with all those issues that you mentioned there, I think that for me anyway, and I know we could talk about the Joker to death, but it's not so much Heath Ledger's performance, which obviously is amazing, and we could spend a whole podcast talking about. But it's what his character represents in that absolute terrorism, in the idea of someone just being evil and wanting to bring total destruction and not having any motivation for what he wants or when to stop.
Yeah.
And the idea of that was like just so terrifying. And I think it rooted into like a lot of people's fears, because what if there is someone who comes around like that eventually, who's just so like devoid of kind of human emotion and is just like is
just
in
wants to
human
watch the
form,
world
but is
burn.
like exactly.
But is charismatic enough and smart enough to, first of all, to get people to follow them and to
Exactly,
follow
yeah.
it through. Yeah, that kind of terrifying
Nihilism,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, that he just wants to see everything destroyed. Like, and like that's even. I mean, that's the other part of this that was interesting as well, was the fact that like the Joker had no kind of political affiliation. He wasn't trying to take over Gotham. He wasn't trying to.
To Joker's not left or right.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's it. Like, he didn't have any kind of real sort of anything to gain from it. He just wanted to just
But
literally
you know what?
see the world burn.
One thing I really love about those films is Michael Caine. I
Yeah.
love him in those
Oh,
films
he's
as Alfred.
great,
He's
yeah.
so good in them. He's so the heart of those
Yeah.
movies.
He really is,
So
yeah.
many of Christopher Nolan's movies, but those three movies specifically, especially about how the Dark Knight Rises ends. And it's just,
Oh.
Michael Caine he's the beating heart of that. I mean, it's never really mentioned, is
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
no, not at all. Like,
I mean, he definitely brings a lot more emotion to it than Christian Bale. I mean, there's always that kind of sense of coldness. Like, he feels something, but, he's hidden
It's
behind the
wrapped up,
mask.
yeah.
you know?
And not to go back to the football analogies, but producer Dave might help me out here. I always would have thought that Christian Bale was the Roy Keane of actors. What do you think about
How
that?
so?
Because he's like
the intensity.
the intensity of it, and the kind of doesn't suffer fools at all, and is just like obviously incredible at what he does.
Yeah.
But there's just always something about Christian Bale that struck me as quite Roy Keane-esque. Would you agree with that, producer Dave?
Yes.
There we go. There we go.
Succinct.
The deadpan
Succinct.
Corkman strikes again. I thought
Yeah.
that was an amazing analogy. I just put out, and you were like, yeah. It's
Yeah,
all
no,
right.
I get it's. Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing that, like, yeah, he is absolutely 100% committed, and also as well, I think this is another part of it as well. I feel that Roy Keane is very self-critical. Would I be right in saying that?
He's more critical of the people around him.
Sure, but in the sense of like, he can recognize his own faults. He can recognize his own faults, I would say. And no, is he not like that?
I don't know if I'd ever call Roy Keane humble. Oh, he's incredible. I love Roy Keane.
Yeah,
like he's.
But you don't think he's humble?
I don't know. Would you call him humble? Well, you're from Cork. You're like,
But worked very hard to improve upon them.
and didn't take too kindly to people that didn't.
No, not at all.
That's why he hasn't been a great manager, I would say. Brian's like, I've tried for the football thing. I just throw it in there.
I was trying to meet you halfway there. Basically, what I was saying was that Christian Bale, like, he's gone on record before saying that, like, he felt he never got Batman right.
Yeah.
As in, he was like, look, I really wanted him to be this really damaged character. I felt that I didn't articulate that right.
There's a lot going on in those films. They were never just.
Exactly.
They were like even when the Michael Keaton Batman. It was never just Batman. And
Exactly.
Jack Nicholson and
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer. And
Yeah. And he always said that he felt that he didn't do the character justice.
That's such a shame. I thought he was great.
And that's what I was saying, and
And I mean,
that's-
it is such a like challenging character. You
yeah,
know?
completely. And that was the point. That's what I was saying about Roy Keane, is that like I felt like that Roy Keane has can be beat himself up needlessly. Is
Yeah.
what I would say, and I think that Christian Bale does that as well.
Cool, makes sense. It's an absolute. I kind of actually want to watch it now, even though Brian just winged it. I actually do kind of want to watch it again now.
I wasn't winging it.
You're good at your job off the cuff, Brian. You're good at your job off the cuff as well, you know.
But another final point as well. Loads of references to Heat in The Dark Knight.
I was going to say that William Frickner at the start of it,
Yeah.
who's obviously in Heat,
Yeah.
and that music.
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan's obviously been a big fan of
Michael Mann.
Soundtrack,
In fact,
yeah.
they actually did a thing. I saw it's a great video series on YouTube where Christopher Nolan did it. I think they did it for AMPAS, the Academy of Music, Motion Pictures and Sciences. He chaired this discussion with Michael Mann and Robert De Niro and Al Pacino
Amazing.
about Heat, and Christopher Nolan chaired the whole discussion.
Where can you? Can
It's on YouTube. Yeah, it's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's brilliant.
All right, that's it. I want to
Check that
go
out.
watch that now.
Check it
Thanks all
out.
for joining us. Like and subscribe. Do we know what's out next week?
I never noticed. Oh God.
I'm pretty sure if it's the 10th. Crap.
It's Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think.
No,
Crap.
it's not that.
I didn't
It
bring my
is-
phone. If I brought my phone in with me, and I didn't bring my phone, if I brought my phone in with me, I would have had the notes out. I didn't bring my phone in with me. You see, I learned.
Are you killing time with D-Checks Entertainment?
Yes, I am.
To see what's out next
Yes,
week.
I am. That's exactly what I'm doing. Why don't you plug your show there a third time there
The
while you're
Delve,
waiting?
iTunes, YouTube.
Wait, it's not the 20th next week.
We've got Owen Roddy on the show this week. We've got another fantastic guest coming to the studio on Friday. 2 fantastic guests coming to the studio on Friday. I'm heading over to London to talk to Superman.
Oh yeah, we should talk about that. Yeah, we Henry Cavill, you're talking.
Well,
about.
hopefully, because in order for the Delve to work, so anybody who doesn't know, the Delve is basically long form conversations, or longer form conversations than the usual. Geez, super sorry, she knows what it is. So it's longer form conversations. So I'm hoping I have Henry Cavill and Chris McQuarrie for 20 minutes, because we were talking about, speaking of revisit, that we want to do Way of the Gun as a revisit. I want to get Chris McQuarrie, it was his first movie as a director, to talk about that.
be great,
Deirdre,
yeah.
what is out next week?
Okay, Mamma Mia, here we go again.
Oh my God.
And one I'm really looking forward to seeing. I saw it a good few weeks ago, and we'll also have
yeah.
on the line interview with its director, Drew Pearce. It is a film called Hotel Artemis.
Oh, cool.
And I think it's going to be the next big thing. So I'll be talking about that.
Cool. The next big thing.
Totally just got that so smooth. We're just like, yeah, just like talk about the Delve, and now we have
Yeah.
thing. That was not winging it at all.
That was brazenly winging it, and we do apologise for that. Do come join us next week, though. It's slightly shorter this week
yeah.
because we're in the studio a little bit later. But do like and subscribe. Do tell your friends. Do follow at The Film Show on Twitter. And if you have any suggestions for the revisit, do tweet them to us. Thanks so much. Thanks, producer Dave, at the Charlotte.
We got it.